Hello friends and welcome back to the Dork side. I'm the Dork, nowhere near a road, and today I'm building my own campsite. I'm the Dork in the road and I want to be your internet riding buddy, so please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy the video. Oh, the rain's actually starting to come down. So a lot of you have asked for updates on the property. You may remember the video I made. We bought a forest. I'll link that for you if you haven't seen it. But that all went through. We are moved in. We are here on the new property and I'm standing amongst my 14 acres of forest getting rained on. So we're gonna rush this introduction so we can go get into the tarp that I've already put up. But I've spent a lot of time working in the house and I'm finally having some time, ironically, at the end of summer. It's fall now, clearly fall with the weather, to get out and actually do stuff to the property. And one of the first things I wanted to do was create a campsite here so that I can camp and test gear and do stuff all year round. So I've gotten started on that. You may remember from the We Bought a Forest video that I kind of walked up into the woods and I pointed out a section that was completely covered in blackberry briars and said, this is where my campsite's gonna be someday. I think I might have some footage of that. Well, I have spent hours with the brush cutter and the lawnmower clearing this site, and this is my first campsite. Yes, it doesn't look like much right now. It's just it's not muddy, fortunately not yet, but a big mess, but it is so much better than it was with the blackberry briars even 2 days ago. And my plan is to camp here tomorrow night. Tim's gonna come join me and we're gonna camp right here on the property in this campsite tomorrow night. So I'm sort of working on a rudimentary tarp shelter. It's not pretty, and eventually I would really like to build like an actual like bushcraft lean-to or whatever up here to have kind of a permanent shelter to get into, you know, for winter camping and stuff. And it just rains a lot here. We get a lot of rainfall. So I got this massive oak tree that I wanted to be the centerpiece of my campsite. And then I've tied off the tarp to it and then out here to a couple trees that were kind of far away, which has led me to have to tie the tarp off in kind of a weird shape to get it tight because it was really droopy and we don't want that. So we're gonna have like eaves, like an awning. I'm gonna try to put a pole under this so that it stands up and then attach it maybe to that stump and just kind of widen this out a little bit. So there's gonna be some paracord to worry about tripping over, but this middle area should be mostly empty. For now, I have a temporary fire pit. I actually have the Bigfoot Bushcraft solo stove and I'm going to put it kind of in this corner, but eventually I have a bunch of pavers that came with the house. I'm going to build a permanent fire pit up here. I'm going to dig down, put pavers underneath it and all that once I kind of figure out where the structure and everything's going to be. But our goal for right now for today is to kind of get it ready for camping tomorrow night, get this tarp done, and I've been pulling whatever semi-dry firewood I can find out of the forest, and I'm going to cut some of that up today too. So great thing about owning your own property is I can take whatever wood I want, you know, this is all mine. I can cut down a tree if I want to. It's quite a difference from camping on public land and logging company land and all that. So pretty cool. I can put up a tarp and just leave it up here. It's pretty neat to be up here in the woods. Oh, the rain's dying down a little. So let me give you kind of a view of the surroundings. So the hillside in this direction, there's about 11 more acres that way. And that's all mine. So that's where my riding trails and stuff are gonna be. And then you can just see here from the campsite, right through the trees right there, the roof of the house. So I don't like that it's this close, but this was the best, easiest flat spot. My plan is to make this the nicest, most easily accessible campsite. So, you know, if the wife wants to come camp or the kid or whatever, or the kid wants to have friends over, they can come up here, have a nice fire pit, a nice shelter, and then I'm gonna make some moto camping sites up on the hillside once I get some trails sort of built. And I've built a few trails, not a lot, but this is the one I'm working on that goes all the way up to the back of the property. Because there's a clear cut up there, you can get into logging land and you have tons of riding room. And then this is the trail down to the house, and you can see the house on my truck. It's raining again, I gotta get back under the tarp. It's pretty funny because I've been up here for 45 minutes, just like shoveling up root balls and stuff, and then nothing. And then the second I start filming, here comes the rain. Chewy's out here too somewhere getting wet. But yeah, that's the setup. So I gotta get this tarp shelter done. I'm pretty glad I put this up yesterday kind of on a whim. And I'm glad because I would be getting really wet right now. And so would all my firewood if I hadn't. First order of business is to get this shelter done. And then I'll start chopping up some firewood and we'll see where we go from there. So pretty exciting. I know this isn't my traditional fare, but there will be a camping video here soon. But a lot of you have asked, like I said, and I also just kind of want to have a record of the process. I wish I'd taken some video of me just like weed whacking this whole area, but whatever. I'm pretty stoked because here and where we live, we might get snow 2 days, but otherwise it's just wet all winter, which means potentially with a good enough shelter set up, you could camp all year. And I'm excited to do that. So let's get this shelter built and then see what other shenanigans we can get into. You all right, dog? Getting a little wet? Not really Chewy's favorite weather, to be honest. He is definitely more of a house dog. even though pugs aren't notorious for their outdoorsiness. There, that'll hold her up for now. Look at that, we got ourselves an Eve. Oh, I should be wearing my gloves. My hands are disgusting already. Found this on the ground. Samora Companion. If you're looking for a good, cheap, all-around knife. They're 20 bucks now, I think. They used to be like 16. They're fantastic all-around knives, and they're so cheap you don't care if you lose them. Good knife. I'll link that for you if you want. But Mora Knife Companion Knife, K-N-I-V, it's Swedish. Great blade. You can see I've never sharpened this one. It's still sharp as hell. I'm just tying a loop in the end, simple, and then sticking the end up through the grommet on the tarp. Okay, loop on the top. Ooh, that's pretty tall. I better get this tighter, or else we're gonna have drainage problems. Fortunately, there's a log right here. Definitely going down the first time anyone trips on the paracord. Yeah, okay. There's a little stump behind it. Ooh, this bottom might work. Nope. Remember what I said about how cool it is? This is my property and I can just smash whatever I want. There's a little piece there I think I can tie off to. No, that's broken too. I'm gonna get a steak. These are $1.27 at Walmart. High quality steaks. We tighten her down like so, like yay. That's adjustable if we need it to be. Taut line hitch I can tighten down. I'll take it. 3 down, 1 to go. Gotta find another stick. Not sure yet if this is dumb or not, but I got a really tall pole. I'm gonna try to just tie it off to this tree so there's not a piece of paracord right here, because I'm gonna put my tent back there. So it would be nice to be able to get to the tent without having to trip over a piece of paracord. Real challenge is gonna be just getting it up there. Because this pole is flimsy, but it's also really springy, so I think it could work well. Okay, try it now. Yeah, okay. One problem, angle is super wrong. Okay, guess I'll run some paracord in a place I don't want it. Could run a really long one to that tree over there. Okay, new plan. Top of that to that log over there. It's gonna be a long piece of paracord, but that'll maybe make it so it's not so in the way over here. Well, that's rotten as hell. This one isn't. Struggling right now. All right. That is actually good because you can walk underneath it. That worked out better than expected. Okay, that's gonna work. That is gonna work. So is it a permanent shelter? No. That tarp is probably 3 years old anyway. It's one I had over the patio furniture, but it will probably get me through the winter with minor tweaks. I love this toggle method, by the way, if you haven't used it, because see, there's just a toggle through a loop in the paracord, and that is just a ridge line running all the way to the other tree. And I ended up putting it in this grommet because it wasn't forming a square wide enough to hold the tarp tight, which is how we ended up with this awning over here, but I think it's gonna work. I got this box, it's waterproof, which I'm gonna pull underneath. It'll make a good like table. I'm going to store firewood in there when I get done chopping it up, and just whatever camping gear like this chair. I'm just going to keep this chair up here. It's broken anyway. We'll keep that stuff dry. And the most important part I didn't show you guys. So I found a deer skull in the woods, like literally right over there in the bushes. So I brought it over here. So this is Camp Forked to, I guess, to honor the nature that I'm sharing this area with, and the animals and people that have lived here before. And it's just cool, like a cool deer skull with moss on it, but I found her on the ground, so there she is. That's the official mascot of Camp Forked, which is where we are. Okay, it's probably getting close to firewood time. So I've been grabbing basically every decent looking, dry looking down limb and tree I could find, and I'm gonna saw these up so I have a little bit of firewood to put in this box and it'll stay dry in there. I'm gonna use a chainsaw because I'm not a bushcrafter, and that's great. Well, there's a few more, but you get the idea. And then I may split as I go. I realize it would dry faster if I split it now, but I'm just happy to have firewood in here at all. Hilariously, I hated cutting and stacking wood as a kid. That's why I vowed never to have a house with a wood stove. And here I am voluntarily doing it. Well, it's a little different when it's your own property and, you know, it's for camping. And as a kid, you don't really understand the value of heat. Some of that stuff, though, pretty dry. Look at that. Pretty dry. It'll burn. Let me show you why I was cutting those logs into smaller than normal pieces. Because I want to enjoy my campsite now that it's sort of established. So this is the Bigfoot Bushcraft flat pack. This is their solo stove. This thing is a portable fire pit and grill. So it packs very small, easily small enough to go on the motorcycle. Sets up really quick and easy. And you can use it almost anywhere as long as burning is allowed. So check this out. It's flat. Oh, okay, I got excited. It's flat. It's not flat. And you just lock it into these bad boys on the bottom, so it's got a sturdy base. I haven't actually used this before, nor did I read the instructions, so I'm just trusting that it's actually this easy. There's a grate that goes down in there, so you got good airflow. You make a fire in here, and then if you want to grill something, this thing is slick, because you got height selection, right? Check it. And you can grill it whatever height you want. I got it uneven, as you can see, but good size cooking surface in a compact package. So I was kind of thinking it might be fun to make a fire in this. What do you think? Should we do it? Obviously, we're going to use our Bigfoot Bushcraft fire starters for this one. And I'm not trying to turn this into a commercial, but if any of this interests you, don't pay full price. You can get 15% off. Promo code Dork in the road on their website, bigfootbushcraft.com. Everything I'm using right now. Bam. First try, bro. First real try. That's something. These will burn for like 5 minutes. Fire loves chaos, so you got to give it like a chaos ladder before you start putting bigger wood on. Let it burn up through and do its thing. So I'm not going to cook on this today, but I'd like to when I come back and camp tomorrow. We're going to have a fire, bro. What do you think? Excited? Chewie's no dummy. He knows where the heat is. Trying to get warm, Pug? Our first campfire at the first campsite on the new property calls for a celebration, and I have the perfect one in mind. Mr. Puff Puff. I'm so dirty and chubby. Deal with it. It's not a glamorous video, but I'm unbelievably happy to be literally hanging out, enjoying a campfire and a cigar in the middle of the day on my own property. That is truly a dream come true, and believe me, I recognize how lucky I am, because even me 5 years ago couldn't conceive of this possibility. And admittedly, you know, we stretched a little to get this place. Our mortgage payment is very high. It's not like I paid straight cash. You guys think I'm rolling in YouTube money, or some of you do. I'm not, man. I am making more than I was as a teacher, but barely. And I have a lot more business expenses, obviously, because I have to pay for gas and camping and motorcycles, so I know, bummer. But I think my point is, if we'd waited till we were ready, you know, because our plan was to wait till the kid was out of school and we had a little extra income and whatever. I just don't know if we'd ever gotten there if we'd waited till we were ready. So this place came up, it was too good to be true. We actually offered under asking and got it. So sometimes you gotta take a chance. I hate this lighter. I haven't said this in a while, but cigar smoking's a filthy habit and you shouldn't do it. I forgot what it was. I guess my point is, sometimes you gotta believe in the impossible and you can make it happen. Sometimes you gotta, again, step outside that comfort zone. And I recognize, please don't think I don't recognize how incredibly fortunate I am. I'm very lucky. I think about my days working a job I hated 40 hours a week. Just the only pleasure in my life was the 6 hours between work and sleep. And that was like, I would just watch movies or not do anything because I was so exhausted from the job I hated. And I know there are a lot of people out there in that situation still. So please don't take this as me being like, I deserve this. I'm very lucky. And, you know, if I could provide some entertainment and vicarious living, I like to do that. My two favorite YouTubers are Steve Wallace, who you guys probably know. He's kind of the inspiration for my sort of style of camping, sort of just kind of goofy, lay it all on the table, that stuff. So if you don't follow him, you should. If you haven't heard of him, I'd be surprised. He's got a crazy number of followers. And the other one's Joe Robinette, who is a bushcrafter, which is where I've learned what little bushcrafty things I know how to do. He's got this fort. It's not his property, but he's worked out a deal with the landowner. And so in the winter, he just goes and works and builds on this fort when he can't get out and do canoe trips and stuff. And that always seems so cool to me. that was one of the things I wanted to do when I got my own property. So this isn't it yet. Obviously a tarp is not the fort, but I could see a lean-to right here. That would do it. And actually, as I have this right now, I could leave this tarp here in the interim, because I'd be on the outside of it, and then build out that way. That's sort of the plan. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of the campsite? Again, a little rough right now. The ground is gross. I got to really rake all this up. And what should I do to the campsite? What should I add? And also, how far should I go with it? Like, I don't know that I really want to build like a whole cabin up here. Although, honestly, the idea of like a 3-sided shelter with a fire pit and some seating, just a nice little getaway to, it's still camping, but to test camping gear without having to bring everything. I don't know. It appeals to me. I am going to moto camp up here when I come up, because I'm not hiking all my gear up that hill. I'm going to throw it all on the bike and ride up here. The fire is dying down. Tools are put away. So I think I'm going to head down to the house and maybe edit some video. Got to do a little bit more work today, but this was good progress. I'm very excited to camp up here, probably tomorrow night. Cook a steak, camp, might even have a special guest. So that video will be coming soon. Hope you're looking out for it. But for now, and as always, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!